Hello and welcome to the Comic Cave. I'm Ramsey, aka Captain Away, and today I'm looking at the 2017 to 2018 and 2018 to 2019 series, Iceman. You know I ain't playing. Prepare yourself for a lot of ice puns. Bobby Drake, the Iceman, got his start along with the rest of the original X-Men in their 1963 first ever issue from comic legends Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Very cool. Since then, he's gone on to be a major part of the X-Men universe, appearing in multiple teams including the New Defenders, the original X-Factor, and the rather eclectic team-up of the original Champions. And even getting his own title on a couple of occasions. But perhaps the biggest shakeup in his life came with Marvel's all-new X-Men, which actually brought back the all-old X-Men, with the original team somehow getting displaced in time to the present day. Not only did this mean that there was now both a young and an old Bobby Drake running around, but at one point in the series, young Jean Grey actually outs young Bobby as gay, in one of the most awkward and forced dialogues I've read in comic books. And yeah, I'm saying that about a series that once had lines like, "As Havoc and Polaris, we may be superpowered mutants, but Alex Summers and Lorna Dane aren't X-Men." Who talks like that? Anyway, this raised the question of how it could be that younger Bobby could be gay and older Bobby was still outwardly hetero. So that led to a discussion between young Bobby and older Bobby, where current continuity Iceman finally admitted, at least to younger him and young Jean Grey, that he is, in fact, also gay. With the truth so freshly revealed, Bobby would still be dealing with having to tell everyone in his life about who he really is, while also attempting to come to terms with it himself and begin putting himself out there to date. Which leaves plenty of room for drama in this series, and who doesn't love drama? I mean, I don't really, but let's give this comic a chance anyway and take this away. The comic opens with Bobby signing up on a dating site called Single Not Stirred? What? That's what you went with? Okay. Guess I have to be cool with it. It doesn't exactly matter because it won't appear again and is really just a framing device for the opening issue, primarily there to provide diegetic narration to the reader that, surprisingly, only runs through this first issue, as Bobbert attempts to describe himself to prospective dates in a way that conveniently also introduces him for new readers. Though by the end of the issue, he does just give up and decides to go with a shrug emoji. Oh Bobby, you're such a millennial. Now. Somehow. The first issue mainly focuses on meeting Bobby's parents, as his dad just had a heart attack and is in the hospital. Bobby goes to visit them to try and talk to them, having, some important things to tell them, but mostly spends the time fighting with them before they're interrupted by the appearance of a purifier chasing another mutant into the hospital. The purifiers are a murderous villain group that have taken anti-mutant hatred to religious levels, and we saw a lot of them during the Messiah trilogy as I covered a while back. Iceman steps in to stop the zealot, only to get called Ice Boy for his troubles. Man, bet that makes him hot under the collar. Hot, icy hot. You get it. Eventually, he wins the fight by tricking his attacker into going after an ice doppelganger, allowing Bobby to get the drop on him and teach him his correct superhero name. The girl he saves, Michaela, only has the power to harden her spit, which is simultaneously sad and icky. But Iceman tells her she should come train with the X-Men anyway. Next, Iceman goes on a mission with his ex-girlfriend Kitty Pryde to help rescue a boy named Zachary, who just recently has begun to develop a mutant power that makes other people's powers go crazy or even shut down, and does the same for machinery. This has the people of West Covina angry at the kid, even more so than just for him being a mutant. And Iceman and Kitty have to do their best to try and protect the kid while their powers are going completely haywire. Also with Kitty pretty upset at him for not telling her that he was gay. Though I feel like Bobby's arguments that Kitty was in space hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy, coupled with not really being able to come out on his own terms, what with his mini-me self running around with his Inhumans boyfriend Romeo, are actually entirely reasonable arguments. Though I also feel that Kitty's argument that she had to learn about it from someone named Goldballs is also a really good argument. Nobody should be named Goldballs. I swear, only Brian Michael Bendis could name someone Goldballs and be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, I feel like there was something maybe a little more important going on right here. Oh right, saving that guy. Maybe you guys should focus on that instead. Bobby's solution is knocking the poor kid out, and then distracting the people of the town with some snowmen minions while Kitty secures transportation for them. Inspired by his talk with Kitty, Bobby goes home to visit his parents, where we quickly learn that they're still having trouble simply coming to terms with the fact that he's a mutant. No wonder he's having such a hard time telling him that he's also gay. I mean, his dad even describes the way the X-Men go about their business as them having a parade. Yeesh. So once again, before Bobby can work up the courage to tell them his latest truth, they're interrupted by some bad guys. It seems the father of that newbie purifier from the first issue has managed to track Bobby down to this house so he can be all, "Revenge is a dish best served cold." Here we see that Iceman's parents aren't all cold-hearted as they attempt to protect Bobby from the madmen, and Bobby's dad criticizes the killers for abusing the intentions of the good book, and at one point he even fakes another heart attack so he can grab a fireplace shovel and cold cock one of the baddies. Well played, Mr. Drake. Turns out, Iceman didn't really need any help though, and he takes out the bad guys with relative ease. Though this does involve exploding out the front wall of his parents' house, and lecturing their leader about how he could be an evil future ice wizard version of himself, who would mercilessly kill the man. And yes, that's a thing that exists. But instead, he's going to show him compassion and let him live. This moves us on to another story about that Zach guy with the power dampening, who has apparently gone missing. Since Zach is super Gen Z, he can't stay off his damn phone and broadcasts to the world that he's going to be hanging out at a super cool nightclub with the super goofy name of Greenwich Meantime in downtown NYC. Iceman shows up at the club posing as a delivery guy for an ice sculpture, which is honestly pretty clever. There he runs across Dakin, and for those who don't know, Dakin is the actual son, not a clone, of Wolverine. Because you can never have too many Wolverines in a universe, am I right? Am I right, Marvel? Am I right? Along with vaguely having the same powers as his dad, Dakin also has pheromone powers that let him influence people, and is canonically bisexual. So he tries to use those powers on Iceman here, only to have Iceman turn him into a living ice statue. Aw, now they're like twinsies. Iceman tries to fetch his wayward pupil, only to find that Zack Attack isn't interested in going back. Maybe you'd be more convincing if you hadn't started this relationship by punching him in the face, B-Man. Also, Zack wants Dakin to show him the world. Aw, damn it, Bobby, you already made the reference I was going to make? Rude. Zack flies away in a helicopter while Dakin tries to punish Iceman for his interference, only to have Iceman chop him in freaking half with a Kamehameha ice snowflake. Holy F. He should have had that attack in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, am I right? So tired and disappointed, the Bobster returns home to the X-Mansion to report on his failure to Kitty, only to be ambushed by his parents, who had come to visit him at work in an attempt to be more understanding. Which is when Bobby decides to drop the bomb. Needless to say, his parents don't react the best. That's putting it mildly. They literally say that now their son is dead. Very ouch. And once again, as things get heated between him and his parents, they get interrupted, this time by the appearance of Juggernaut. Juggernaut gets close to crushing Bobby, but the X-Man escapes by turning to mist, one of his more recently developed powers that makes him what they call an Omega-level mutant, though it also overwhelms him a bit with the existential horror of how he could be someone who can turn into mist and then become human again afterwards. While he fights, Kitty gives Mr. and Mrs. Drake a letter that Bobby had been trying to write them to come out to them, since every time he tried to tell them in person, everything around them exploded. So when Bobby gets back to the mansion after the fight, he has a bit of a heart-to-heart with his dad, where Papa Drake says that no matter what, they still love him, even if they're just having a hard time dealing with all the things Bobby is. It's kinda sweet in an also kinda messed up sort of way. For the second volume of the series, Iceman heads to LA to hang out with his old teammates from the Champions. This includes former X-Man Angel, the Russian powerhouse Darkstar, the Johnny Blaze version of Ghost Rider, who is at one of his various points of being alive again, and mythological hero Hercules. Ew. TMI about your loincloth there, Herc. TMI. Notably missing is Natalia Romanoff, aka Black Widow, whose death during Secret Empire is the reason the team gets together again now, in salute to their fallen comrade. While there, he also begins dating a guy named Judah, who shows him some of the ropes of what it means to be a guy dating other guys, since that's still something Iceman hasn't really done at this point. When he returns home to New York, Bobby takes a look around at his life and goes, yeah, I don't really need this, and decides he's going to move to LA so he can be closer to Judah. But while he was gone, his parents figured out that there was another younger him also running around, and they asked both Bobbies over to dinner. But it seems this was a bit of a ploy, as they didn't want to just spend quality time with their doubled son, they wanted to see if they could start over with a young, still possibly uncorrupted Bobby. That's messed up, parents. That's some messed up shit. Before he leaves for LA, the X-Men throw Bobby a going away party, and Judah even comes out to the East Coast to celebrate with him. But the party gets crashed by the appearance of Dakin and protege Zach. Though it was foreshadowed that this would happen in the previous issue when we saw Dakin standing in the city singing New York, New York. But, who exactly was he singing that to? Or for? I mean, you gotta imagine the scenario of him arriving in New York at, say, the airport, and then going through airport security, getting a ride back uptown, and walking all the way to Times Square before finally stopping to sing New York, New York to absolutely no one. And then someone right after this moment probably shouting at him, "Shut up, you stupid tourist!" Or maybe he's just been singing it non-stop since arriving. Hey, it's a catchy tune. Anyway, Dakin has been helping Zach hone his abilities until he's able to ignite the power inside of Dakin from something called a Death Seed, which was put inside him by the Apocalypse Twins to make him the Horseman of Death during the Dark Angel saga. It was a whole thing. The point is, it turns him into this. Whatever this is. He starts out his rampage by stabbing Judah through the gut, seeming to make a reference to Fridge's love interest while doing so. And while Iceman fights back using an army of ice copies, Zach goes and traps the current mutant class in the danger room on one of the deadliest settings with the safety mechanisms off. You know, typical danger room stuff. Michaela from issue 1 shows up and easily hands Zach his ass and frees her classmates while Bobby freezes the Death Seed inside Dakin and then freezes him in a giant snowdrift, I think? I don't really know. The end of the fight is incredibly vague. Really, all the fights that have happened so far have just kind of been over when Iceman says they are, rather than letting anything really make it clear that they're over on their own. Judah decides it's best for his continued existence if he doesn't continue to date an X-Man, and breaks up with Bobby, telling him also that he probably shouldn't move to the West Coast. Iceman attempts to drown his woes with fellow mutant Richter, who came out about 10 years real time before Bobby did when he started dating longtime teammate Shatterstar. But they're interrupted by a call from Bobby's parents, whose across the street neighbor has suddenly developed superpowers, and as he spent most of his adult life holed up at home reading about mutant conspiracy theories, he isn't handling the change very well. So Bobby and Richter come over to talk the man down and help him come to terms with his little problem. The issue also features some flashbacks done in a nice classic comic style that show child Bobby dealing with his home life as his parents first discover that he's a mutant. And that's how the comic ends. But that's not where we end, true believers, because there's a second series, though it's only 5 issues long. Here, while making a standard superhero rescue, Bobby discovers a flyer for a missing Warlock. He asks Kitty to let him look into it, and she sends Bishop with him to help out, which Bobby's not super excited about. The Morlocks, a group of mutants that live underground because they're seen as too freakish looking to intermingle with normal humans, are similarly not super excited about the X-Men's help, even in dealing with a group of supremacist mutants who are currently attacking the Morlocks to purify the mutant race. Bishop and Bobby help rout these mutant attackers, but it looks like they were working for Mr. Sinister, and now Iceman has Sinister's attention. Before Iceman can go much further with his investigation, Emma Frost comes by seeking his help. Though she's not the most likable person and not exactly the most trustworthy, especially with how she essentially kidnaps him out of the school in order to explain the situation to him, Bobby decides to go with her anyway. He even manages to convince Kitty to let him go with her with this great reference to Uncanny X-Men number 168. Oh yeah, you're never gonna live that down, Kitty. Turns out what's happening is Emma Frost has a brother named Christian. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And what's more, her brother is also gay, apparently. Which I guess is why Bobby? But their super controlling father has been grooming his son to someday take his place at the head of the company he runs, I guess. And won't even allow Emma to come see her brother. What's more, it turns out Papa's got superpowers, so that he actually can prevent her from coming over. But when Emma and Bobby show up, they learn that in actuality, Emma's bro lost control and killed their old dad. Oh, messed up. So the dad that's been hanging around is actually a mental projection created by Christian, who is actually the mutant. Emma takes them all inside Bobby's head to help Christian calm down, and it's apparently quite the winter wonderland in there. Not sure who would find this calming, but yeah, it works. When he returns to New York, Bobby attempts to go on a date at a local street cart festival, where it just so happens that Angelica Jones, aka Firestar, is also on a date, and so is Peter Parker, who's there with Mary Jane. Aw, good seeing the webhead back with MJ. So of course the three of them end up teaming up for a callback to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which somehow has never been a team up in the Marvel Universe. What up with that? As the three take on a giant ice monster, discuss the relationship woes of superheroes, and eat some churros. Churros. The ice monster is actually a Morlock who has been experimented on by Mr. Sinister as a means of attracting Bobby's attention, and inviting him to a very obvious trap, as Sinister has been kidnapping several of the Morlocks for his sick experiments already. And that's where they've all been kind of vanishing to. Bobby goes anyway by himself for some reason and ends up getting trapped by Sinister so the crazy guy can experiment on him, but instead ends up just falling apart. Except turns out this was another of Iceman's doppelgangers, and with the help of Forge he had been able to make it a bit more realistic and give it speech capabilities. And the real Bobby gets the drop on Mr. Sinister. All this is happening during the world's first mutant pride parade, which Sinister's men attack. Bishop, though, had suspected something more was going on with Sinister's plan and had enlisted the help of the Morlocks to defeat Sinister's men. Sinister has some kind of spear that can actually hurt Bobby in his ice form, but Bobby simply turns parts of himself to mist to avoid it, which is something he can apparently do now, and then hurls Sinister into the atmosphere. He then shows up to the parade where Sinister also unleashed more of his ice giants, and pulls the ice off of them to freeze the other group of Sinister's army, using one army to stop the other. Nice job, Bobby. That's where the series ends, but man, we're still not freaking done, because there's a special that sees that evil future version of Bobby that I mentioned earlier, Ice Master, come back in time to kill Bobby so he can never become himself. Yeah. Apparently in the future, Iceman starts dating Dakin and falls for him completely, only to discover Dakin was using him to become the deadliest, most powerful force for evil in the universe, in what I guess is some kind of like quadruple cross or something. But Bobby manages to calm down Ice Master, and they go to Bobby's birthday party at Cafe A Go-Go, a seriously throwback Iceman reference, where Ice Master sees all the changes happening to Bobby thanks to his friends and family, with his dad even coming around a bit, and it changes Ice Master's mind. We also see Christian, Emma's bro, give Bobby a check for an unrevealed amount of money for his help earlier, and Bobby decides he's going to use that money to make life better for the Morlocks. Ice Master sees that it might still be possible for everything to change for the better, and thanks Bobby for that while he fades out of existence. Seeing as all this got started thanks to a time-displaced version of Bobby, it's only fitting that it should end with yet another version of time-displaced Bobby. But that's still not where it ends. Nah, I'm just kidding. It is. So let's get to the breakdown. I do kind of feel like this entire comic exists primarily so they could repeat and expand on the Iceman scene with his parents in X2 X-Men United. Have you tried not being a mutant? Other than that, I really don't have much in the way of complaints for this series. I wish it was clearer how the fights ended, and it wasn't so much just Bobby being like, this fight's done, and then we move on. This is partially a weakness of the art, I think, and I'm honestly not a big fan of all of it, but for the most part, all the artists do a pretty great job of conveying character expressions and attitudes, and the look tends to sit really well with the feeling and mood of the comic. I enjoy Grace's ability to transition so quickly and smoothly between drama, action, and relaxing, and he does a great job of giving us insight into Bobby's internal struggles, his various relationships with friends and family, and his vulnerability in facing an uncertain future while stepping outside of his normal to begin embracing who he truly is, whatever the consequences may be. Also, Bobby is a freaking Jedi Master compared to me in terms of bad dad jokes and ice puns, so, you know, I gotta give him credit for that. So I'm giving this series a recommendation level of high. It's a fun, funny, and surprisingly touching look into the ever-changing life of one of the oldest X-Men characters, proving that comics still have plenty of fresh takes to bring us even after all these years. The collected editions get 1 surprise Sentinel head and 2 Iceman X logos. As always, that's on a scale of bad to good, though nothing especially exciting this time. Volume 1 is 5 issues and a couple pages of bonus covers. Volume 2 has 6 issues and a few more pages of bonuses, including some cover sketches. Volume 3 is 5 issues again, but collects that X-Men Winter's End special and a couple pages of bonuses. Well, at least it's a pretty good comic. Thanks everybody for watching. Got more summer fun stuff coming up for July, and in August I'll try and hit a few more requested comics. Then as always, September is Spider-Man month. So if you enjoyed this video or are curious about what's coming, be sure to hit the like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I hope to see you next time, right here in the Comic Cave.